Welcome to the Builders of Authority podcast, a show committed to helping you build authority for your brand. In the realm of business and personal branding, authority stands as a cornerstone. Authority isn't built overnight, it's built over time. So join us as we build something remarkable together. And now, here's your host, Adam McChesney.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Builders of Authority podcast. We're here at Adventure Unknown in Fenton, Missouri, thanks to Punchline Productions. First off, if you haven't been out to AU yet and you're here in the St. Louis area, would love the opportunity to have you come for a visit. I've been a member for a little over a year. You'll be able to see literally where we do the podcast, where all the business networking happens here in St. Louis that I do, and all the other amazing things that we have going on here. It continues to grow. A lot of good stuff happening here. More events than ever before, and the membership continues to grow. And a huge shout out to Punchline Productions. They're the ones that make this podcast episode possible each and every single week. So if you're looking to grow your brand, sponsor a show, launch your own podcast, this is the place to do it. Today, I'm joined by somebody I met a few years ago via LinkedIn. We're both here in St. Louis and not even sure really how we got connected. But after looking at his profile and the sea of the craziness that LinkedIn is, I realized he wasn't someone just trying to sell me something or spam me. So we ended up connecting a few different times in person over coffee and lunch and have stayed connected ever since. Last year, we did a Facebook Live together talking about his company and what they do. And it was a great conversation, great episode. And I know his space and what he's going to talk about here today has been growing a ton ever since. So wanted to bring him in the studio for a full-length episode to dive into it all more and learn even more here today. So I'm joined by Nate Keller with Free to Grow. Nathan, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Adam.
How's everything? How's it been? Everything been going in your world?
Good. Like you said, it's a growing world. It's the AI side of things is wild. Just with how things are moving and moving fast. We're right in the thick of conference season, so we're seeing a lot out there as far as from a competitor standpoint, seeing kind of where we stack up, and we're really happy with where we are on that side. It's always good to get out and get on the road and actually see customers at these conferences too, which is nice.
Yeah. And so talk to us a little bit about kind of how Free to Grow got started, because so for me, right, like I've known you now for probably over 2 years and been seeing all this stuff. And now, as you mentioned, like all these companies are starting to pop up, right? And it's easy to get something to pop up. Yeah. Right. And so like, talk to me about like how you guys had been in the game, obviously a little bit before it was like, basically like selling real estate or doing anything that like the barrier to entry is minimal.
Yeah. I would say I'll start with that's one of the big selling factors for us, aside from having a great tech and a great platform and being able to serve our customers really, really well, is our story, right? We started coming up, we'll be coming up on 6 years in November. Actually started right down the road here. So driving down the street here was kind of trip down memory lane for me. I used to come in here at 4 o'clock in the morning and get my life together and everything else. Exactly. Yeah. But we started as a live human call center, essentially. So we started off, right here in St. Louis, working with home service businesses specifically. Not anyone industry out of the home service industries or one vertical, just kind of anybody and everybody. We grew to about 8 to 10 agents here in St. Louis. Eventually we were looking at bigger office space. Our staff, has said that they wanted to work remote. So we said, okay, we'll do the remote thing. Got up to about 26 to 30 agents across the country. We started working real heavily in the trades at that point. Plumbing, electrical, HVAC. We do a lot of garage door, roofing and that sort of thing. But the plumbing, electrical, and HVAC is a big segment for us. Started getting really heavy into the CRMs and how they operate and finding the right people that know how those operate and how to, book jobs the right way and figure out everything along those sides. As we grew, we started building out some AI tools for our team. Now it'd be pretty simple tools, but at the time it was something that was very beneficial where, they could go into Slack and type in service areas for specific companies and would pull right up so they don't have to like sift through an SOP on paper or even, on their computer. And it just gives them answers right there on the spot. So call resolution time was getting shorter, customers were happier, everything like that. While we were building those out, I started looking heavy into the AI voice side of things. because as a business, as a call center business, which is a very difficult business to operate and to run, just, from the staffing side of it, from our side with the businesses that we were bringing on, we'd get busy every summer. We'd have to bring on more people, train them. You still have people that are remote, working at home in their pajamas. They get hangnails, they don't show up, all that stuff. And it was like, you know what? We just said, hey, we got to find a solution for this, because we grow, we dip, and then we'd have to let people go and everything else. So I started looking real heavy on the AI voice, either supplementally or as a separate business or separate model altogether. As I was looking into it, I came across a company called Archer, a brilliant guy from that went to school at UPenn, moved out to San Francisco, started a business, and had this good. At the time, it was great. Right now, it would be terrible AI voice platform. And so started talking to him, and within about, I would say, less than a month, we kind of had an agreement in place to say, hey, why don't we merge our businesses? We had strong footholds with the trades, between all the partnerships out there, the best practices networks that we were part of, everything like that. And we just said, we're going to change our business model entirely. And we thought about, again, supplementally, or do we just, read the tea leaves and take the risk? And that's exactly what we did. So we went to our customers and said, hey, we're going to go AI voice across the board in 60 days. Here's your account. If you want to start working with it, we have people that are here to support you and get you up and running on it. Half of our customers left. But we just said, let's move forward with this. The customers that we lost, we made up for in a very short amount of time, and then just kept on going from there. Because obviously from the work that our tech team has done with the integration side, and also just the technology getting better and what we're putting on top of the technology that's already out there, it's just gotten really, really good. And we went from serving that kind of daytime overflow or daytime primary to, the overflow and after hours. And now we have customers that are using it as frontline, and they're using it for the simple calls, and then it can always escalate on to people within their office or something like that. So it's going really, really well.
Yeah. So. And so when did you guys make that pivot to where it was like, hey, we're going on, what time frame was that?
Like as far as months go?
Yeah, or like as far as like, was it 2024 that you guys did there?
It was, it was 2020. It was kind of spring of 24, I guess.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And then, so half the clients that they left overnight, was that like, obviously it ended up working out okay, but was that like, hey, maybe we are on the right path and the market just, they either need to be all in or all out? Or was it kind of like, oh shit, did I make the right call?
There was a lot of thoughts on both sides. Yeah. So, I think the first couple of weeks, it was probably the oh shit moment of like, okay, was this the right thing to do? Should we have transitioned this in a different manner? Because we went from a service business to a technology business
overnight
in 90 days. Right? Which is a tough thing to do. It's a huge pivot. But once we started getting out there and getting traction and starting to see customers roll in at a quicker clip, we're like, okay, we have something here. We definitely had it was starting over in a lot of ways for us, right? We were, like I said, we went from a service business to a technology business, but even from a revenue standpoint, we went from, I think the most we ever did when we had 26 employees, I think we're maybe at 60 or 70 a grand in monthly recurring revenue, and we went down to probably 15, and it was that was a tough thing to do. Like, we came out of it really quickly, and now we're 3 times the size we ever were. So
Well, and I think, and the reason why I asked that question, because like obviously you were not necessarily going from same business model, but kind of, as you mentioned, going from service to technology, but there's a lot of different aspects that like business owners have to make, where it's like, hey, like we're even going through it right now where we hit a certain MRR mark and we're like, hey, we're not taking on those clients that have been in business for less than 3 years, because we've already identified that like our ideal client is X, Y, and Z and doing all these different things. And, at some point it's going to be like, hey, like we're not a good fit for you anymore. You're probably not a good fit for us. and walking away from some revenue to take a step back to then make the big step forward.
Yeah.
But yours is actually interesting even more so because it's like, hey, we're going from service to technology. And even though we're taking a step back when we go forward, you're probably a lot more profitable and you don't have to worry about the actual human, hey, we got to go hire, we got to go train. And then if it slows down, we got to lay off. Like you're leveraging technology now to do better, take away some of the risk mitigation across the board for you and your clients, and then profitability being
exactly right. And to that point, even when we did transition to a tech business, right, we still had to start fine tuning that client base too, 100%. Right? Because when we made that switch, it was okay. Let's work with anybody and everybody, right? And from that side, we do have our ideal customer that we kind of flesh out over time because from an onboarding perspective, we can onboard customers lightning fast compared to what we used to. But the onboarding does require a time commitment from the client, right? And if you're working with, a smaller guy that's maybe on a truck, maybe he has one technician, something like that, trying to pin that guy down to give us all the information we need, talk to him about his procedures as far as booking and how he wants things done and something like that can be a lot, right? And I'm not, that's not a critique of the business or the owner itself. It's just they're busy trying to grow their business and taking the time to do this is really difficult for them. So that's where we started zeroing in to say, okay, we need to have, companies that have 3 technicians out in the field, or kind of that's the model, 3 technicians, 3 estimators, something like that, because we know that that company's going to have the internal resources for us to build this out the right way and get them onboarded the right way.
100%. And that's where, whether it's the digital marketing stuff that we do or the stuff that you do or anything else, whether it's coaching, like anything else in business, but specifically in the trades, it's like it is a joint partnership and time commitment standpoint. Like you just can't pay in any business. You can't pay for your problems to go away.
Right.
You have to be a part of the solution and really say like, hey, if it's bad enough, right? Even that one man band or that one man with one technician, like if you just took a day and set aside from, hey, I'm just not going to take on jobs today because I'm going to go build out SOPs or on board with you guys, like the infinite impact of the moving forward. But we so much struggle, especially in the beginning. I've been there too myself. I'm sure you have too, where it's like, I can't take a day off of the building of the widget thing to build the bigger stuff because it's like, it's got to be one in, one out.
Right. Right.
And that's a tough place.
Yeah. People are scared. Okay, if I don't do this job, if I don't take this call, whatever else, how does that impact me later? And I get the mentality. I get the mentality of, when someone says, hey, I want to do a demo right away. And I'm like, okay, I drop what I'm doing and I'll do a demo. Right? I totally get that. But at the same time, I think it is tough to think of it forward way of saying, okay, I need to do this now so I don't have to think about it later. Right. And it's going to help my business grow later. Right. Yeah. So
talking a little bit, I know you've mentioned a couple of times like fine tuning or building on top of probably foundational stuff. So getting more information and feedback from your clients, getting feedback from the people that are calling into them. What is that process? Because I think a lot of people are seeing and hearing about, the out of the box solution as like the easy thing without doing it really, really sophisticated or well. And so people are jumping in saying, hey, I'm going to go build this bot or this AI agent or this whatever. And then the fine tuning doesn't happen, and that's where the chaos. So talk to us about kind of that process.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of kind of what I consider low cost competition out there that is out of the box. Hey, yeah, we can do this, we can do that. When a prospect, customer, client, whatever comes and wants to talk about that, it's like, you got to really dig in and do your homework on what you're getting into. Because from the onboarding perspective, that's one of the things we figured out quickly and we course corrected quickly was with the technology. It's still new. It's obviously everybody's hearing about it all the time. I just went to a conference where, I'm sure a year ago, not many had AI voice on at the booth. And this year, if there were 200 vendors, I bet legitimately there were 40 to 50 that were AI voice driven. Some of them are still in beta and that sort of thing. I don't know. There's probably only a handful of us that have been doing it as long as we have. Yeah. But it really is understanding what you're getting into as opposed to just price shopping. Because from that side, you can be left with, okay, great. I got a voice. I got to build this whole thing out myself. I know what may work, but when it comes down to testing it, the integrations, everything else, they can be left on their own. And that's where we did course correct very quickly and said, okay, we're going to sell this. We're going to do a good job on it, but we're also going to have the support on the back end to help.
Yeah.
Because that's, from a technology standpoint, that's what every company needs to be focusing on, that support aspect and saying, hey, we got, this is going to help you a lot. It's a tool. It can help your business grow. It can catch those overflow calls, those after hours calls, can do a lot of very cool stuff on the back end, and help with, customer retention and just being able to say, hey, I can answer your questions or get you on the schedule. But, the tweaking of it and the monitoring of it, and having someone to say, okay, hey, I have a special that we're doing now, and I need to get this into the knowledge base, and having that point of contact. And we have dedicated customer service reps for all of our customers. So that's where we'll leverage our team, because most of our team we've taken from the trades businesses, right? They have experience in that world. And then we brought them in with a knowledge of the technology too. So they know the technology, but they also know what's supposed to be happening with these calls. What's a successful call and what's not a successful call, right? And knowing when things need to be tweaked, and proactively going to our customers and saying, hey, what about this, right? We could probably squeeze a few more points out of your booking, right? If we make some changes here and there.
Yeah. Well, and so I think there's two different key aspects that's good for the people that are listening to understand about anything that they're going to purchase and buy, especially in today's day and age when there's only more competition than even in the roofing space, right? So let's just talk about the trades business for a second. There's more people that have started roofing companies recently, especially here in St. Louis, because of all the chaos with all the storms, right? So you have to do your due diligence regardless of what it is that you're buying, of any significant purchase, whether it could impact your business better or you're trying to get a new roof, is trusting but really doing the verification and the additional stuff on the back end, meaning that with you guys, you've been in the game for a little bit, you have the customer experience aspect behind the technology that so many of these tech companies that are coming up, it's like, hey, it's the owner, or it's an owner, an executive assistant, or a virtual assistant across the world. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but then when you have, the technology might be okay, but it's not it's not if you have an issue with this stuff, it's when. It's going to happen. So you're really buying the customer experience and the service on the back end, coupled with those people having industry experience to say, oh, hey, this is what's happening with our other handful of clients across the board. Here's a best practice. And then here's what we're seeing from our end because we've been in the game.
Right.
That is worth its weight in gold if you're trying to get something quality and have it actually push the needle forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. That again, that's a big aspect of what we're doing is, being able to say, to any of our customer service reps, our clients can go to them and say, okay, how is someone else doing this? And they can say, yep, I get it. And they'll, or they come to the table with that, right? Say a company is, there's always the big battle over, are you going to give pricing over the phone? And it goes back and forth, right? The school of thought is, hey, we don't do any pricing over the phone. And that's the common, thought. And then some are starting to transition to like, hey, maybe we are going to give some pricing over the phone or whatever that might be. And we're actually looking to see what's successful in a completed call that books versus what's not. And, it can depend on region. It can depend on anything, right? Out there. But a lot of it is shifting, but we're actually seeing eyes on where that's shifting to. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So taking a little bit of a shift here to how you guys have built your brand, right? So how you built the brand, I know you mentioned a couple different times, like the trade shows and the conferences, but being niched down in, the trades, I tell people all the time too, is like my clients are all over, right? So a lot of what we talk about on this podcast is like how you guys have built your brand, your personal brand, but also the business brand to say, hey, more people know who you guys are, right? Word of mouth, obviously, I'm sure helps, but what has that journey been like from where you guys started versus where you're at now?
I would say, when we first started, we've never been big ones between my partner and I to be like, the face of the company. We're starting to change that a little bit, but at the same time, it's like, I want people to know Free to Grow. I don't necessarily people want to, but it's also natural as an owner. It's like, they're going to associate me with that company, which is great. And I love it. I'm extremely proud of it. At the same time, just from the branding side, what you're talking about is a lot of things that are not, I'm flat out honest, not strengths of mine by any means. Until 8 weeks ago, it was, from a marketing and branding side, it was myself doing a little bit, Charlie doing a little bit, my partner, and Jerry, our CTO, who the company we acquired, and he's a partner of ours, and he was doing a little bit of it too. So we were like in all these buckets trying to figure out, and finally I was like, guys, time out. We gotta find someone. And we actually found a senior director of marketing. She's been with us for 8 weeks, and she is absolutely fantastic.
Incredible.
But I also kind of feel for her because she was given a pile of stuff. I don't want to say a pile of shit, but she was given a pile of stuff that she just had to like go figure out. But she's doing it in a very short order, which is awesome. But yeah, it's something we're constantly working on. The trade shows are huge for us because the presence there, that's where we're in front of our target audience. We're there with current customers. It's great knowing that, we have some extremely happy customers out there that are at the those location, events. At the booth and saying, okay, and they send people over and everything else. A big one for us is within the trades, there's a lot of partnership opportunities, right? Best practices groups and that sort of thing. The BDRs, the Next Stars. We just started one with I believe it's called CCN, which is a primarily roofing one. And doing like PHCC. I'm leaving for Phoenix tomorrow to go to an electrical contractors one. So nice. Those are really big for us because, when you get in with the best practices group and you're able to kind of show your value and everything else, it's like, okay, you kind of have the stamp of approval, which is good. So,
Well, and I think that my next question was going to be is like, how does that differentiate from not the people that are popping up right now, but like your competitors that have maybe been in it a while, or they're like, hey, niche down on the trades is, I would assume those partnerships, right, and those stamps of approval go a massively long way, especially when people are trying to jump into the market. But like, how has that been a differentiation piece when you're taking a look, or somebody's like, hey, I'm looking at Free to Grow, but I'm also looking at maybe some other options as well?
Yeah, it really narrows down the options more than anything else, because that stamp of approval is, it's kind of a hunting license, but at the same time, they are giving it to competitors too, as they should, right?
Yeah.
But it does narrow it down to what we call our, top 3 to 4 competitors out there. And it's like, okay, if that's the case, great. We all sell against each other all the time.
Yeah,
right?
You're at least in the right.
Yeah. What it does do, as you mentioned though, with the ones that do pop up all the time, it does start weeding those out a bit, right? The ones that, okay, they started a company last week and it's one guy that sat in his room for a while and coded something out and he thinks he has something really cool, which he very well may. But it's the longevity that we've been in there, right? And between, again, our sales is based on our technology is fantastic. Our integrations, specifically into service side, are absolutely fantastic. But it's that support piece and also understanding these businesses, right? Because the 4 years prior to being on the AI side, we did it with live humans. I've listened to hundreds of thousands of calls, and I know a good one from a bad one. And understanding kind of where the inflection points are and what needs to be done differently, and now just transitioning that to the AI side. So.
Yeah. So what are some like the biggest, I guess, misconceptions that business owners have about fully going AI with this stuff?
A lot of them we get, hey, I have an older customer base. They're not going to like it, all this stuff. I think a lot of people hear AI, and I see a lot of this on Facebook too, when someone puts out there, hey, who's the best AI answering company out in the industry, right? And then you see someone pop up and say, people still want to talk to a live person. They do. I'm not taking that away. And as of today, I would say a live person is going to be better received. But, those times when it is busy, it's better than a third-party live person that doesn't know what they're doing and can't answer your questions or can't get you on the schedule. And the AI is getting very lifelike, right? And it's answering all the questions and it's sticking to a script and it's dealing with upset customers in a very non-confrontational way, right? Even an internal CSR might be having a bad day and maybe it does get a little more heated than it needs to be, and the AI doesn't do that, right? But a lot of it is the older customer base, which a lot of times people don't know. If our customers decide to take out the, hey, I'm your digital assistant piece of it, a lot of times they have no idea.
Yeah.
But I also think publicly people equate the AI to calling into, airlines companies. I always say like Walgreens, because it's like, and it is
press one.
Yes, and it's like, no, we can call one right now and you can have a conversation with it, right? It's just like, it is extremely conversational. It's going to, it's not going to necessarily ask you about your family, but if you tell the thing to tell you a joke, it's probably going to tell you a joke, right? And like stuff like that. And it's like, that's where I think people associate with these really big companies out there where they're interfacing with those on a daily or weekly basis, and they're equating the more automated systems and saying that's what AI
is. Yeah. No, and that makes sense, right? Because like people joke all the time, is like speak to a representative, because but that's more of like, hey, I can't understand what you're saying. Type the number in again, and you've already typed the number in 4 times. Right. We're talking about 2 completely different things. You're talking about somebody that like is trained to know the business, that knows all of those different things, that isn't going to call off, isn't going to need all of that stuff. And so like the reason why I asked that question is because I think, this time last year, and even this was probably a year and a half ago when we did that Facebook Live, is there were still so many new things coming to the market, right? Yeah. And it wasn't, and even like using chat, like I wasn't even using ChatGPT that much this time last year, but now it's like every hour, like multiple hours a day where stuff is getting inputted and we're looking at different things and models and things like it is no longer, regardless if you're going to go that route or just use ChatGPT, it is no longer a option. Mm-hmm. It is a necessity. Mm-hmm. If you want to get to like 3 years from now, get on the other side, because you are going to get left behind, if nothing for the sheer fact that you're going to get squeezed out your payroll or your overhead or whatever, because other companies are going to do it right, wrong, or indifferent, and they're going to be able to charge differently, think of different things. I mean, they're going to be ahead of the curve, even if they're way worse at the thing.
Right.
Than you.
Right. And I would say the ones that have adopted haven't figured out how they're going to change their model yet or what they're going to do. But guess what? They're getting that front line in place in order to do that imminently.
Like
right?
crazy. And that's going to be the thing that you're not going to be able to make up time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like you're just not gonna be able to make up time.
Yep.
And then, so like, what are some of like the, I mean, I know you kind of mentioned like, hey, we're literally replacing the front line, but like, what are some of the big success stories where you're like, hey, I'm sure you have it. Booking rates go up, payroll or cash flows, but like profitability for the contracting companies. But like, what are some of the big things that you're just like seeing and hearing consistently?
Yeah, the one is the companies are moving from kind of that traditional call center over to us. They're seeing their after-hour overflow booking rate just skyrocket, right? Because a lot of overflow and after-hours companies, there's some that will still get a user login and book and do that sort of thing. But a lot of times they're not going through the steps, the procedures in order to book appropriately, right? If someone comes back and says, for example, after hours call comes in and a third party takes that call and says, okay, I need you to come out and, look at my HVAC. It's in a rental property that I own with my wife. Okay, we can be out there tomorrow. I don't know if she's available. Okay, I'll call you back here in a little bit. And a third party call center is going to be like, okay, we'll wait for your call back, right? More often than not. Our AI, and it was funny when I heard it, because I had to call our tech team immediately. I was like, dude, what was it trained to do this? And it said, no, we just kind of have been massaging it, but not necessarily specifically training it for that. The AI took that call, said, certainly understand you need to speak with your spouse or see if they're available. Let's go ahead and book it for tomorrow. If that doesn't work, call us back.
That's awesome.
And the AI booked it right then and there, and it was a job that was booked and sold the next day, right? From a higher level, when you see those booking rates, just from an after-hours perspective, be in the 85% range. When a third-party call center's in the, I think it's an inflated number, and they say in the 60s. And then also we have a lot of companies that, they're testing it out against what their current call center's doing, right? They're getting, we're getting the calls are going to them, then they go to us, during the day, right? It goes on a rotation.
Yeah.
And when that AI is booking at the same percent or higher, then,
makes you think.
some of their CSRs or their let's call it their C players or even their low B C players, they can sit there and say, okay, and they can see it right in their system. As long as it's something that we're integrating with, but they can see, okay, I have, 8 CSRs. My 2 bottom ones are booking less than free to grow. That's okay. What are we going to do here? Right. It puts some tough decisions on the business owner, but
that was my next question is like, how does that conversation go? And are you guys involved in that conversation as well? Are they asking you for guidance of like, hey, I got these 2 people that are like clearly.
It's funny. It's starting to come up more. I started talking about it last week with a customer. And I think it's something we will have some hands in, or at least helping guide that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I also say that, a good business owner's thinking of their business and their top employees first, right?
Yep.
We all know that B and C employees can drastically affect the attitude of A players.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if this is going to make their lives better and have those A performers continuing to play at a high level and not get dragged down by B and C players, then it's kind of a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
I think there are business owners that they avoid confrontation, right?
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it too, right? It happens, but the really good business owners will just they make it very black and white, and it's, hey, we're going to be better off operationally here because we're reallocating, right? We're going to, this thing's going to be taking more calls. The A players can go focus on more revenue generating, maybe creative tasks that might be better for them, right? Maybe an A player, shouldn't be taking 150 calls a day. Maybe they are better served and you can find better opportunities for them within the company, right? And guess what? Their stress levels are going to be a hell of a lot better too.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think, and I think the data makes it help, because it's so black and white. It's just like, at some point, it's a matter of conversation. Like, are you going to actually go all in and do what's best for your company, knowing that you may have to let somebody go, fire somebody if they're doing the exact same thing over and over again wrong, or just underperformance. When you have this other thing sitting there that's like better for your company, it's like a tough decision you got to make. So what's kind of the next, as things are kind of moving quickly here, as we kind of finish up the episode, like what are you guys thinking about next? What do you see coming down the pipeline? Like, what does that all look like? Yeah.
So when we look at new features, right, our core product is always going to be the inbound voice side. And we made that decision a long time ago. We kind of did, in a lot of ways, I say we did the hard part first because it is the hard part. And then we're looking at stacking on top of that. So we do have outbound call functionality, but that's really going to be limited to service 10 users. Outbound calls is a very gray area. I'll preface that immediately for the audience here. Everybody wants outbound calls because it's the thing that people don't do.
Yeah.
But outbound calls can go so many ways that are not great. And you can piss off your customer base. So when, we're releasing those in 2 weeks, or no, I guess next week. And the nature of our outbound calls is going to be maintenance member check-ins, because it's very controlled.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to be out in your area in 2 weeks. We need to get you on the schedule for your biannual maintenance, whatever that might be. Can we get you on the calendar, right? And filling up the calendar from that manner. We get a lot of people that ask us about like estimate follow-ups. I think that's a tough area. I think there's a way that we could probably eventually do it in a good manner where it's not annoying the customer base. We do have people that say, hey, I have all these, I have a whole database of people in our area that, and I was like, if they're not your customers, let's not call them.
Yeah.
Because you can get put on a list really quickly, right? And that's not going to be fun for anybody. But that along with kind of that outbound texting piece is coming here, like I said, in the next week or two. And then the next one we're looking at is kind of those larger organizations that are retaining their CSR staff, and helping them from a grading perspective, right? Call center managers are extremely overwhelmed with the day-to-day, right? Fires pop up, they got escalation stuff they got to take care of, anything along those lines. And they don't have a good beat on kind of how call centers performing, right? So that got moved to kind of the front of the line for us, is having an AI. We're not calling it AI coaching. We're going to call it AI grading. We haven't kind of formalized the name on it, but where the AI can listen to a call based on the criteria that we get from the customer, and on a CSR by CSR basis, say, okay, this person's performing at 90% today, right?
Sure.
And then that call center manager can have a live look in to see how things are going. At the end of the day, we don't want to inundate the CSR with information throughout the day. The idea is probably send them something towards the end of the day, but that call center manager can constantly see how someone's performing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. But we do all this, like all features and functionality that we roll out, even from the inbound voice side. I would say not being the traditional tech company.
Yeah.
Knowing how we got to where we are, all of it is done with the client in mind.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of AIs that will do everything out there and, balance your check, all that stuff. And it's like, when we do this, we do it in a methodical manner where it's like, okay, let's get our top, 10 to 20 customers. Let's sit down with them. Let's roundtable this out. Hey, what's the most important for you? What's most important for you? And then let's build, let's test, let's build, let's test.
Sure.
And then let's release.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, love it, man. Thanks for coming in. Where can people stay connected with you, learn more about Free to Grow, reach out to you guys, schedule demo call?
Yeah. So Nate at free-2-grow.com. And then, we're on Facebook. I think I sent over my social, so I'm guessing you guys will post all that.
Yeah, we'll post it all.
Yeah, our website. We actually just relaunched our website the other day.
Love it.
Yeah. So
good, man. Well, this is incredible stuff. And like I said, it's changing so quickly. So if you're in the trades and looking for something to be more efficient, especially with intake of those inbound leads via the phone, like this is the guy in his company to talk to. So, man, appreciate you coming in and sharing all that with the audience.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it.
And thank you all for listening or watching to today's episode. If you're listening to this on the podcast platform of your choice, subscribe to the show, leave us a 5-star review. If you're watching it on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, check everything out, share this episode on social media. Helps it get out to more people and spread the word about everything that Nathan shared with us today and everything that Free to Grow does. So make sure to go follow him. If you're a contractor, definitely reach out just to have a conversation. Definitely worthwhile. And we appreciate you as always. Make sure to, again, support the show as much as you possibly can. And remember, authority isn't built overnight. It's built over time. We'll see you next week.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. We sure do appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show wherever you consume podcasts. This way you'll get notifications as new episodes become available. If you feel so inclined, please leave us a review. We sure do appreciate it. Until next time, friends.